All right. This is the effortless enrollment formula. Authentically sign dream clients by holding them to the standard of their vision. I am so excited to share this training with you because I remember my very first enrollment call and I had no freaking clue how to be able to actually do it. I was so scared. My arm was literally shaking on the phone when I asked for the money. And when the guy said yes, I didn't say anything because I was so friggin' stunned that he actually said yes. And he was like, "Hello, are you there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm here. How did you want to do it? Card or?" And long story short, that was my first program that I ever sold, and it was for 3K. And he put down $1,000 on the phone. I remember looking at that in my bank account. And that was the moment where I knew I was onto something because it was real, it was tangible. My confidence had shot through the roof because I signed my first client. And that was the moment where I never looked back because since then I've been able to do over 5,000 enrollment calls, sign hundreds of clients from the lowest price point, which I started, which is at 3,000 all the way up to 25K packages using this exact formula. And so, what I want to share with you is something that's been so profound for me because I believe that if you understand how to authentically and effortlessly enroll your clients, not only are they going to invest with you, not only are you going to get way more pay in fulls, but you're going to be able to truly be able to actually get your clients results because my belief is that transformation happens in this conversation, this sacred conversation of enrollment. And so I'm so excited to share this stuff with you because if taken seriously, this is a video that you want to watch time and time and time again. Because if you master this formula, you're going to crush it. You're going to understand the power of transformation and the beauty that comes from helping someone commit to their vision and doing it in a heart-centered way that just is so energy rich and so much fun that this is where your clients at the end of working with you go back and say, I didn't think it was possible to have this life that I'm living now. But because of that call that we first had and because of your coaching, I'm able to have the life that I do now. And so this is the gift that I want to give to you, the power of the effortless enrollment formula. So let's get into it. So there's two parts here. The first half, seek first to understand, and the second half, then seek to be understood. Okay. And so what I've done is essentially laid out a visual representation of what I take my dream clients through and how to be able to understand really what this process is and the simple steps to go through literally line by line so that every single part of the conversation, you know exactly what to do. So what we want to do in the effortless formula is understand really what phase we're in the conversation so that way we know how to navigate from one part to the next. And the thing that I'll share with you that I've learned from doing so many enrollment calls and mastering this process is that there's always going to be room for improvement, always room for lessons. So even as I give this training for you, this is like practice, right? And then when you go in the game time, like there's no time for thought. It's just pure presence. And so as much as this training is going to support you, allow it to not be robotic or like just rough when you're going through the call. Like just be present and trust the call as you go into it because that's the connection that really helps people transform is when they feel like someone really cares about them. And that's what this formula is going to be able to give you. So the first half, seek to understand what is this this arrow, these couple arrows, these questions, and then more arrows and symbols and all this stuff. Well, essentially, this is the first half of the conversation. And I'm going to be breaking these down step by step so that way you know exactly what to do because all of enrollment comes from first being enrolled first, right? If you want to enroll others, you get to let them enroll you. And that's what it means to seek first to understand. So many coaches and entrepreneurs try to seek to be understood, right? They jump on the call and they're like, here's my program, here's my method, blah, 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 blah. Do you want it? And that's the old way of selling, quote unquote. But it's kind of like a doctor. If you were to go to the doctor and you were sick, you had like a runny nose, and you asked him or like he asked you like one question. He's like, oh, like what's going on? You're like, God, I got this runny nose. He's like, okay, well, here's a bag of Xanax. And you're like, wait a second, doc. Like, I don't need Xanax. Like, I just got a little runny nose. He's like, no, just take it. And that's what most coaches do. They don't actually understand the person that's going on. Just like if you had a doctor that didn't understand what's really going on, he would misdiagnose the problem, and as a result, you would feel like you got scammed, and you'd probably never go back to that doctor because you wouldn't trust his judgment. And so being able to understand that what we're really doing is seeking to understand, to truly get to the root of what this person wants, where they're at, and if we can even help them, right? And so this first part of the call is so important, that we're just seeking to understand. And we're doing it from a space of love and of compassion and presence, and really getting down to the root of what this person truly desires and what makes them tick. Because if we get that and they feel like we get that, they're going to be all ears for how we can actually help them transform. Okay? So let's actually get into what these things mean. I'm going to break them down step by step, the first half and the second half. And then I'm going to recap it to put it all together into one simple formula that you're going to be able to take every single person through, not just to help them to, pay for your program, but more importantly and more accurately, actually commit to their vision. Because every single person that you're speaking with wants to go to their vision. And this process is going to show you how to hold them to the standard of their vision, which is the person that's actually going to invest because they know they're worth it. And they know that they have been trying for God knows how long to be able to make this thing happen, and that they need your support to really help them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the phone with you. Okay, so what's the first step? The first 4 seconds, connect, and the inspiration inquire. So the most important part of the call is actually the first 4 seconds. And this is something that I pulled from Straight Line Persuasion. And, as we go through this stuff, I want you to know that this is my own unique formula. I've pulled from different people at different times to really put it all together. And it's more of an accumulation and battle-tested, proven practices that have supported me in supporting my clients. Okay, so the first 4 seconds is something I got from Straight Line Persuasion from Jordan Belfort. And what he shares in that is that in the first 4 seconds, your client is asking 3 questions. Can this person help me? Are they legit? And do they actually care? And so notice how this arrow is a little bit slanted up. Well, what that means is that we want to have a answer to those questions in the first 4 seconds. And the way that we do that isn't necessarily about, any tricky words or anything. It's an energy. And so what I would invite you to do is before every call, get into a peak state, whether that's doing some push-ups, doing some breath work, whether that's doing a yoni egg practice, whatever it is that's going to get you into a peak state to be able to have just insane energy and just presence with the person is what's going to help them feel that you can truly help them in those first 4 seconds, because the subconscious is what immediately is going to get a feeling, and based upon those first 4 seconds to determine everything. So when the call happens, at the time of the call them the second that the clock dials whatever time that the call is, because that sends a message of complete congruence and that you're an authority. You're not here to waste your time, and you're on top of your shit. So call them the second that the call starts. The second you call them and they go, hello, the arrow's up slightly, because you want to come in and you want to take them right where they're at, meet them immediately where they're at, and take them up, right? Come in with a sharp and higher energy, not super high, not like this crazy, rah energy, but presence. Come in like a little bit hot, just enough with like, ooh, like a little dose of energy, a little dose of dopamine, like, ooh, who is this person, right? Like, wow, like they're a little bit up to something, but not to the point where they're like, oh my god, who the fuck is this guy? Like, chill the fuck out, bro, right? Like, come in hot, but slightly hot. And what that looks like is then they go, hello? Like, hey man, what's happening? Like, how's the day going? And just come in quick. Like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you doing? And that first 4 seconds is everything because they're gonna feel that. You're gonna hit them and they'll be like, oh yes, like I'm doing good. And so the connection piece is where we move to after the first 4 seconds. And that's what these two up and down arrows are, is you're just going to connect with them, like get a feel for what they're doing in their world, like where are they at, notice their energy, like where's their energy at. Things I like to talk about is like, hey, like what part of the world are you in right now, like how's the day going, what have you been up to today, and just getting a feel for where their present energy is at. And it could literally be, connecting in anything. Like I like to share how, I'm in San Diego and it's a beautiful sunny day and having amazing calls with amazing human beings. Like I couldn't be happier. Like that's what I live for, right? So I'm just chopping it up, connecting with them for a couple seconds, a couple senses, maybe even a couple minutes. I ride the energy out. I'm not going to be, so sharp and like, all right, let's get straight into it. Like I want to connect. And the second that I feel like there's a little bit of connection, someone call it rapport, that's when I move to the inspiration inquiry, which is, awesome, man. So curious, or women, whoever. I'm curious, like, what inspired you to jump on the call today? What's the inspiration? Like, why are we chatting today? And that question is so important because we're understanding where their come from is. And we're allowing them to set the intention of the call in their own way without realizing it. Because at the end of the day, they wouldn't be on the call if they didn't think you could help them. And there's this little part of them that is crying and asking to be led. And they are praying to fucking God that you're the person that can finally answer their questions. Because for who knows how long, they have been thinking about this thing, whatever it is they can help them with, it has just been on their back. And at the core level, all they want to do is get it off. And if you can be that person, they couldn't be happier. And so what we want to do is just ask them, like, what inspired you to jump on the call today? And they're going to give you a surface level answer, right? They're going to share, oh, I want to help grow. I was wondering if you could help me grow my business, or maybe you can help me in the area of sexuality, or maybe you can help me, get more gains, or whatever it is. Like, they're going to give you the surface level answer. And that's good because what we're going to get down to later in the call is the actual core of why they're on the call. But this is a good starting point. So you ask that question, they're going to answer, and you're like, awesome, man. Well, happy to get into that today. The second part, or the next step, is now we want to set the intention, understand their vision, location, and challenge, reflect back to them, and dive deeper. And so I'll explain what some of those things mean in a second. But from the inspiration inquiry, we want to set the intention. Awesome. Happy to answer those questions. So what I'd like to do on the call today is really understand more about you and what you're actually looking to create, some of the things that you're experiencing now, and kind of getting clear around, the roadblocks that you're experiencing. And so if I feel from what you share, like I can really support you, I'd love to invite you around what that would look like. How's that sound to you? And they're going to say, yeah, that sounds great. Or they're going to add something. I sometimes ask them, like, would you like to add anything to the intention today? Usually they're like, no, like that sounds good. So set the intention. Around this time period, what's also really powerful is to be able to ask them for permission to challenge them later on, right? So when you set the intention and they say, yeah, that's cool, I'll be like, awesome. So before we get into it, at some point in the call, like you may consciously or subconsciously, knowingly or unknowingly, like have resistance that's preventing you from breaking through. And from what we've already talked about and what you're looking to get out of the call today, do I have your permission to be able to challenge you if it's going to support you in reaching your vision and your goals. And they're going to say, yeah, of course. Because then later on in the call, we can support them by saying, hey, do you remember when I asked for permission to challenge you? Well, here's the time. Okay. So we want to do that and set the intention. So set the intention for the call, ask for permission to challenge them later. And when you have those, be like, awesome, let's get straight into it. And so that's really that first arrow. Now, what is this circle with the arrow up to the star and that orange line in between? Well, that's understanding their vision, their location, and the challenge. So, what we want to do is go straight to the vision, which is the star. And the vision is asking them, awesome. So let's say it's the end of 2020 or the end of 20, whatever year it is. Like, let's say it's the end of the year. Like, what have you created personally, professionally, and financially? We want to understand what it is that they really want, right? And getting clear on that, they're going to share with you. And that's where you get to hold space and listen. Remember, we're seeking to understand here. And from that, we then ask them, okay, wonderful. And so what is like, where do you get to be 90 days from now in order to be on track for that long-term vision? So in other words, we're asking them for their grand vision, and then we're going to bring it back to their 90-day vision. I say 90 days because 90 days is the length of my programs, because I believe that that is one of the most powerful time periods for transformation. 90 days and 18 months, whatever the length of your program is, that's really what the timeline that you want to plug in there. So you want to ask them, awesome, like, where do you need to be 90 days, 6 months, however long your program is, how long do you like, however long your program is, like, where do you get to be on track for your long-term vision in 90 days, as an example. So what that's doing is anchoring your offer in from the beginning. And they're going to share. They'll be like, awesome. So like, why is that important to you? Like, in other words, we want to really get to the root. Like, we don't want to just accept a surface level answer here. This part of the conversation is so vital because we actually want to connect with what's driving them, like what's important to them, what actually is going to light them the fuck up, because that is going to be the thing that they're investing in. This is what they want. And so we want to really go deep in understanding what their vision is and ask those questions to really get there. What would become available to you if you had that? Like, why is that important to you? Because there's surface level answers and then there's root answers. And we want to get to the root of their vision. Like, what do they actually want? And what you'll find is that most people have an idea of what they want, but it's not super fleshed out. And so what I've been able to do is realize that as someone that's going to help them reach their vision, it's my responsibility to help them create a future that is really exciting. And so I can pull on from my own personal experiences to help them do that. I currently live in an entrepreneur house. I have an amazing girlfriend. I have, a solid physique, and like the most cash I've ever had in the bank. And all that came from being able to understand the things that I'm helping my clients with. And so being able to pull on my current lifestyle, what's become possible from applying the very things that are going to become possible for them in my program, I can help expand their vision. And when we do that, like, make it super vivid, right? Like, what actually really lights them up? If it's like traveling and you travel a lot, like, say, like, imagine being able to wake up in Paris one day and only working 3 hours a day and having the rest of the day to go on dates or have fun or just, really just hang out, if that's what your client wants. In other words, take your, like, a vivid day in what they really want, like a vivid vision in their diary, and add that to their vision to help them make it more exciting. And once they're truly lit up about that, like, awesome, like, where are you now? And that's what I call the location. In other words, like, where are they now in relation to their goal? So that's what we want to create in the next 90 days. And by the end of the year, where are you now? Like, what are you currently doing? And what this is going to do is create a gap. And so that's why I like to start with the vision, because we're not tied to current circumstances. We're almost in an alternate reality. We're going into the future, and then we're bringing it back to today of like, yo, like, where are you today? And uh, that gap, the bigger and the deeper the gap is, the more they're going to be willing to invest with you. Because every single day, every single human being is waking up looking to close this gap. Think about yourself for a second. Like, what's your vision? Where are you at? And tell me that today wasn't a reflection of you trying to close that gap in somehow, some way. And I bet your ass that you probably had some challenges along the way. And that's this third piece, this little orange block here, in between where they're at now, their location and their vision, which is the challenges that are stopping them. And so that's the third question here, which is like, awesome. Like, what is like stopping you from getting there? Like, what's in the way? What's the biggest challenge with making that happen? Like, what is actually going on here of like why you don't have that? And come from a space of genuine concern and genuine care and genuine curiosity. Because when you're genuinely curious, people feel it. And the way that you do that is in your tonality and just being in your heart and like genuinely connecting with like what's going on, and coming from that space, and speaking in that space of genuine care of like, yo, like what's the big challenge here? Like, why do you think that hasn't happened yet? And what they'll share is, again, service level things, and we want to go deeper on them, like really get to the root. And the reason I'm not giving you a script here, I'm giving you an idea, some questions. The reason I'm not giving you a script is because, again, going from practice to game time, when you're present with people and you understand the intention of this part of the call, which is to seek to understand, the questions will come to you. So be present, so that way you can actually guide them and listen and truly understand what's going on in their world. Because the reality is that most people don't have someone in their life that is going to go this deep with them, that's going to actually understand. I've had people bawl and get into tears on enrollment calls because for the first time in their life, they feel like someone actually gave a fuck or genuinely cared about them because I did. And knowing that that's the reality, that like most people can't even express their visions, or the things that are holding them back, is why I believe this is a sacred conversation. Because when they're able to be transparent with you, not only do they let go of their shame, but they now feel empowered to shift it. And so that's the space that we get to hold for them to really share like the truth, the reality. Like, we're not here to sugarcoat things. We really want to get to the root of what's going on. And when we have that understanding inside of ourselves, or at least when we think we do, of their vision, their location, and their challenge, that's when we reflect back to them. And what that looks like is asking one simple, powerful question, which is, so what I'm hearing you say is that this is your vision, this is where you're at now, and this is the challenge that you're facing in being able to make that happen. Is that right? And they're going to go, yeah, exactly. And so what that could look like, with my clients, and one of the reasons I believe that like you can enroll high ticket no matter what space you're in is not only because other people are doing it, but because that this is actually the core of enrollment, is allowing other people to influence you by understanding them and actually getting them. And the way that you do that, like an example here is with my clients, it's like, so what I'm hearing you say is that you want to be able to wake up one day and have, like a flush book of clients all paying you premium prices, because you truly have mastered your craft. You feel like you're in complete alignment with your soul's calling. You're making a massive difference in them. And not only are you having business success, but you're being able to have an amazing community and friends around you that truly get you and are on the same page, and are doing this work alongside of you. And the challenge is right now that like you're not really sure on how to get started, and maybe you want to transition out of your current position or job, and you're just not sure on how to make it happen, and you've tried several things and they just haven't worked, and now you're finally at a space where you're like, fuck, like this is the year where I go all in, and like it's time to make it happen. Right? And is that right? And they're going to go, yeah, exactly. So when you reflect that back to them, that's when they feel, holy cow, like this person actually cares about me. Like they actually understand me. And it's a feeling, and it happens subconsciously. And this is how we go away from this whole sales model of like moving people through systems and shit to building real relationships, because they now are open and receptive to what you have to say because they feel like you actually get them. And at that point, now we are seen as the authority. Now there's trust. Now they feel like they're open and receptive to what we have to say. But before we get into that, we get to dive deep. And that's what the three arrows are next to their location, is really helping them see that if things don't shift, what's going to happen? Right? So amazing. Like that's what you want to create. And my question for you is that if a year goes by and nothing shifts, what's going to happen? And sometimes it gives service level answer, and I challenge them to go a little bit deeper, because then I ask them again, like, if 3 years go by, what's going to happen? 5 years, 10 years. At some point, every single person has a threshold where they realize if they don't shift that thing now, it's going to be a brutal next couple of years. And what's funny about that is, and this is why I say authentically sign dream clients by holding them to the standard of their vision, is that we don't ever rise to our visions, ever. But we always fall to our standards. And when we hold someone to the standard of their vision, that's when they actually achieve it. And so this person has a standard for their vision. It just might be a year, 2 years, 3 years from now before they are at the place where they're like, fuck, like I need to change this shit now. And so we want to find that point in their timeline, because that's what's going to happen if they don't make a commitment to themselves to go all in on their vision today. Like they're going to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years until literally shit happens energetically. Like that's what's going to happen, because it's already in their timeline. They already know when that point is. So we're going to bring that pain point, that threshold, into the present, and have them really look at it. And that's what I mean by diving deep, is we're going to get excited about their vision, but then we're going to go deep into their pain of like, yo, like, when are you going to shift this? And how long have you been trying to shift it? And what's going to happen if you don't? And how's that going to impact your relationships? Like, what are your parents going to think of you? What are your friends going to say about you? Like, what kind of legacy do you want to leave for your children? Someone who doesn't show up powerfully, someone who doesn't actually live in accordance to their vision, what kind of message is that passing along to your children? Right? If they have kids, like that fucking hits home. So whatever relationships are important to them, bring that to the surface and point that out to them, because this is the point where they don't want to go to these painful places. Naturally, human beings don't, because it's painful. But the reality is that if they choose to look at it, they can now be empowered to make a decision. And that's the next point here, is the choice point. Why now? And level of commitment. So the choice point is inviting them to make a choice. So once we're clear around how bad things are going to get, and like why they're, going to experience that instead of their vision because of the path that they're on, like the analogy that I really appreciated, which was from Tony Robbins, is that they're on a river right now, and they're getting closer and closer towards Niagara Falls. And they're on a boat, and if they get to the end of Niagara Falls, they're done. And here we are, catching them upstream, and we want to invite them to get the fuck off that boat and realize that they are headed in the wrong direction. And so the choice point is now helping them become present to that. And so what we want to share with them is a simple understanding that they're at a choice point right now. And so what this looks like is, what I'm hearing you say is that like 3 years from now, if you don't shift this, like you can pretty much throw your vision in the grave, because you're going to die without it ever happening. Is that right? And then you go, yeah. We're like, cool. So this is what I like to call a choice point, where we have a choice to make right now. And this isn't about choosing my program or to invest or anything like that. No, this isn't even about my program. This is about you, and this is about your vision, and this is about your life, which we only get one of. And in life, our decisions determine our reality. And so on the left side, you have the path that you're currently on and keeping and going down that. And on the right side, you have your vision, everything that we've talked about. And I would go deep into their vision. Like I would say on the right side, you have like an abundance of clients, like whatever you're helping them with. I'm just giving an example for business, but just paint their vision, the one that we just created with them. Like really paint that vision. On the left side, you have all this pain of staying on the same path. And on the right side, you have the pleasure of everything that you really want. Which one do you want? And they're going to say their vision. Like, why? What human being in their right mind would choose the left side? None, right? So they're going to choose their vision. Like, awesome. So why? Like, why are you actually making that decision? And they're going to tell you. I'm like, cool. So it's not a matter of if you're committed to your vision. It's a matter of how committed you actually are. And so if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to your vision? And they're going to say an 8, 9, or 7, or a 7, 8, or 9 or 10. Like somewhere in there. I've rarely gotten numbers below that. Doesn't really matter. We're looking for a 10 or another number. If they're a 10, we can move on to the next stage. And if they're any other number, you'll be like, awesome. So what's standing between you and a 10? Simple question. Awesome. We're not judging them for it. Just awesome. Like, what's standing between you and a 10? And they're going to share something. And what you're going to do is reflect back to them what they said. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that, like, you've been faced with this challenge so many times that you don't know if it's possible to overcome it. Yeah, wonderful. So can you think about a time in the past where you were challenged with something and you broke through it anyways and ended up getting what you want? They're going to say, yeah. And be like, cool. Like, tell me about that time. And then they're going to tell you, like, cool. So that moment came from you deciding to choose a new story. Are you willing to choose a new story now so you can get better results? Are you willing to choose a better story so you can get better results? And then be like, yeah, of course. Be like, cool. So are you willing to claim a 10 and actually step into this so that way you can have what you really want? Yeah, 100%. Sweet. Boom. So what's standing between you and a 10? Acknowledge that, go deeper into it, help them shift that story, step into a new one. And that's where we move into this next piece. Okay. So at this point, we want to invite them to the program and we want to ensure that they're a decision maker and ask them to make a decision today. Okay. So what does that look like? So once they get to a space where they're 10 out of 10, like, awesome. Well, based upon everything that you shared with me, I think you'd be a perfect fit for my program. That being said, I'm curious, like, are you like going to be able to make this decision on yourself, like by yourself, or are you going to need your spouse or like a business partner to give the green light? And if they say a business partner or a spouse, then what you want to do is actually stop the call immediately and say, wonderful. So what we're going to do is get them on the phone and have a conversation with all three of us, because at the end of the day, if we have a powerful conversation today and they're not able to say yes and support you in it, then not only have I wasted your time, but I've also let you down, because again, this isn't about my program. This is about you getting what you want. And that means getting everyone on board so that way we can all move forward together. Does that sound good? Cool. Let's schedule that call. So schedule that call with them. Now, if they are the decision maker, then you're gonna invite them to make a decision today. And what that means is saying, awesome. So what I would love is if you can make a decision by the end of today. So either a clear yes or a clear no, no maybe, in between, I need to meditate on it, anything like that. And the reason that I'm inviting you to do that is because when I think about the results that I've been able to create in my life, it's come from a powerful decision. And I'm sure you can think about a time in your life where you made a powerful decision and made all the difference. And so when we commit and we decide, that's where all of the power is. And if we're willing to do something different to get different results, that comes from being able to think differently. And so if you're someone who normally needs to think about it or something like that, I want to invite you to be strong in your ability to say yes or no on the call today. So that way, we can move forward from an empowered place. And there's no right answer. It doesn't necessarily need to be a no. But if it's a yes, then let's own it, and let's move from there. Does that sound good to you? And they're going to say, yeah, 100%. And you can ask that in your own way. Like, again, side note is like, as I'm going through all of this, like, feel free to use your own language. I'm using mine. This is what works for me. And as you do more enrollment calls and the more that you do, the better you'll get, the better you'll be able to articulate and share these things just off the top of your head as I am now. Okay. And so, ask them to make that decision. Now, once they do, this is freaking game time. Like, this is where everything shifts. Up until now in the conversation, we've been seeking to understand. It's been from a very heart-centered place, a little bit like lower tone, more questions, and like really connecting with them. And at this point, we've probably built so much trust, so much credibility, so much just love in the conversation that at this point, like, it is time to take them to the promised land. And that's where we shift the energy and we take it up a motherfucking notch. All right. So the effortless enrollment formula. Powerful segue into the offer. Describe step 1, 5D the value, get buy-in, and repeat for step 2 and 3 and recap. Okay. So what does that actually mean? So powerful segue into the offer is one sentence that I have perfected and refined and crafted into the most beautiful statement that it just gets me off. Okay. So what is that statement? So once they're like, yes, like I'm willing to make a yes or no decision on the call today. Awesome. So the goal, so the name of the program is blank. So whatever name of your program is, you can share it and say the goal is that by the end of it, you're going to be able to blank, blank, and blank. And that's their vision, right? So if you are taking notes, this is a part of the conversation where I want you to actually say this exact thing that's relevant to them. So the name of the program is blank. The goal is that by the end of it, you're going to be able to blank, blank, blank. And that's their vision. All the things that they just shared with you at the end of the 90 days or 6 months, or however long your program is, you're going to say the goal is that by the end of it, you're going to be able to blank, blank, blank. Like whatever you see possible for that human being, speak life into their vision right here and come in with insane energy. Like this is where you want to just ramp the energy, ramp the excitement, and get them lit, like absolutely lit. So the name of the program is blank. The goal is that by the end of it, we're going to be able to, whatever their vision is. And the way that we're going to make that happen is by using X method, right? So whatever your method is, if you don't have one, you get to create one and go back to the other videos on how to actually create your method, or the offer definition worksheet, because that goes into that. But you're going to say, and the way that we're going to do that is by using blank method. And there's three phases of the program. It's blank, it's blank, it's blank. And now we're going to get into the steps, okay? So you share those three things. We're going to do blank, blank, blank. And the way that step 1 works is blah, 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 blah. And this is where you get to get really good at understanding the difference between the plane and the destination, okay? Most coaches, most entrepreneurs, the way that they sell their programs is they talk about the plane. It has, it's a 7150 or whatever the main plane is. It has 3 million bolts in it. It's made with aluminum. titanium steel. It has two pilots. You're gonna get one shitty meal that has been microwaved in the back. You're gonna get a few soft drinks they're gonna be charged a little bit extra for, and you're gonna be sitting next to a random stranger. It could be a great stranger. It could be a random stranger. You never know. And that's literally how they sell their offer. It's like no one cares about the plane. What they care about is the destination. The destination is you're going to be able to step foot off of the plane, and you're going to be able to go straight to the beach and put your feet in the sand and feel the warm sand in between your toes as you look up at the sunset that's going down, and be able to finally feel like you can let go of the day to day because you're finally at peace in nature, in the place that you've always wanted to be. And you're going to be able to look over at your beloved and take a beautiful drink, or a cold drink of iced tea, and just think to yourself, wow, like this is what I did it for. Right? Do you see the difference? There's the plane and there's the destination. So we're selling the destination here. And so as we're going through step 1, step 2, step 3, there is steps that you're taking your clients through to produce the result, the vision that they want. And this gets to be an airtight, logical case of how they're going to get there. So there needs to be real tactical steps of how they're going to get there. But as you're describing those steps, what you're going to do is speak into their vision and into the pain of what they're going to be moving away from, right? And so there's these little, so if you go over to step 1, there's these little, there's like these 3 things. And so what this means is we're going to 5D the value. And what that stands for is 5-dimensionalize the value, okay? So we're going to describe the steps, in other words, the airtight logical case of step 1 of what they're going to do to actually get started in moving towards their desired result, and like what those steps are. And then the 3 things here are a representation of 5-dimensionalizing the value, which means that once they get this step down, that's going to help them overcome the main challenge that they face to be able to get the result that they want. And then how getting that result is going to directly impact their health, their wealth, and their relationships. And those 3 little sticks there stand for that. And so what that can look like is saying that, amazing. So step 1, we're going to be able to, so step 1 is leadership. So I'm just making this up here off the top of my head, but step 1 is leadership. And in leadership, what I believe is the key to all transformation is first being able to lead ourselves. And so when we're able to get clear on ourselves and understand self-awareness and what the 3 key things are to creating wealth around our passions, our strengths, and our purpose, that's when we can actually align to a model that is going to allow us to make money and make an impact. So we're going to start with self-awareness. Then we're going to be able to go towards setting our vision, because when we set our vision in alignment with our self-awareness, that's when we're going to absolutely feel so excited, because now we're aligned with our natural strengths and destiny. And as you shared earlier, like one of the reasons that all these other programs didn't work for you is because you didn't have the self-awareness to know what the actual model was to be able to actually get the results that you want. So you might have been trying to climb a ladder that was placed on the wrong wall, right? Or maybe you were an eagle trying to be a hummingbird and getting, nectar out of flowers, when really you should have been swooping down and grabbing fish out of the river, right? We get to find a strategy that's really going to light you up. And that starts with self-awareness. And then we're going to create a vision to become the best eagle that we possibly can. And then the third piece is being able to have the right mindset, right? Once you set yourself up for success, how do you have the mindset like a Kobe Bryant? Or, I'm just giving an example here. I would use people that are relevant to the people I'm speaking with, but just to roll with me here, it's like, or like a Kobe Bryant, where he wasn't just Kobe Bryant, he was the Black Mamba. And there was a story of him, training at 4 a.m. and this new guy had joined the Lakers, and he said, he told Kobe that he's going to be there at 3:30 in the morning. And Kobe was already there by the time the guy had got there the next day. And then that guy trained the full day. And then Kobe was still going after that guy left. And then that guy asked him the next day, Kobe, like, why were you there before I started and after I left? And Kobe said, because I want you to know that you'll never outwork me. I'm going to be the best, and that's it. How do you have that kind of mindset? Well, that's what goes into being an amazing leader, is being able to have the self-awareness to set yourself up for success, cast an amazing vision that's aligned with you, and then being able to have the mindset to become the best in the world at that. And when you do that, that's when you're going to be able to overcome blank challenge, step in your vision, right? Essentially, as you see what I'm doing here, I'm giving stories, I'm giving analogies, I'm speaking into how step one is going to solve their problems. The things that they told me earlier are stopping them from getting what they want, and truly stepping into a space where not only do they know exactly how to get there based upon the airtight logical case, but I'm speaking into the pain and pleasure of what that's going to do for them in getting that specific result. Now, the game changer here is where we ask them, do you see how that's going to help you get what you want? Yeah. Be like, and so how will that affect your health? Like, if you're able to be able to master these three things, like, do you think you're going to have more energy in the day? Yeah. What will having more energy do for you in your health? Right? Are you going to be more motivated or less motivated to work out? And if you're working out more and having more energy, how do you think you're going to show up on enrollment calls? How do you think you're going to show up in your relationships? Rather than waking up tired, now you're living a life of purpose. You're in your power. How much more influential will you be when you're speaking with clients? How much more clear will you be when people ask you if you want to do something, and rather than giving them a maybe, it's a clear yes or no, because you're living your path and you know what's aligned and what's not? How much more confidence will that give you? I'm 5-dimensionalizing the value. I'm asking them how getting this specific result using this first step is going to help them in health, in wealth, and relationships. And a key thing with relationships, which is super powerful, which I spoke into a little bit earlier, is being able to help them see how what others are going to think of them and what's going to shift with that. So when you step into this, like, and you start leading by example, like, what kind of message will you be leaving to your kids? What kind of mom will you be? Right? With health or with relationships, it's like, what kind of like, what will your husband think about you, like, when you finally have got this thing off the ground? What kind of wife do you want to be? And your community, like, imagine how, like, what will you be able to give to your community when you're coming from this place of abundance and you finally have given yourself permission to have a full cup every day and put yourself first, because you've been putting yourself second for so long. So with relationships, I'm asking about people that are below them, what they'll think about them, their children. In this example, I'm asking about people that are on their level, in this case, their husband. And then I'm asking about people that are above them, right? What will their mentors think about them? What will their parents think about them? What will their community have to say about them? And when they're on their deathbed, what kind of person do they want to be known for? This is 5-dimensionalizing the value. And that little happy face right there is when we get buy-in, right? That's when they get step one, not because you tell them how they're going to get there, but because they actually believe in the power of it. They see how if they do this thing, not only are they going to get the result that they came to you for, but how it's actually going to impact every other area of their life. This is why the enrollment formula, the effortless enrollment formula, is so fucking powerful, is because we're connecting people to source energy. We're connecting people to their vision. We're connecting to people to what actually drives them, and getting them to a space where they believe that it's possible by having a clear method, a clear process to get there. So we do that for step one, and that little smiley face is getting that buy-in, right? Do you see how this is going to help you get that result? I'm like, yeah, of course. Don't move on from step one until they actually feel like they believe in step one. And you'll know what I mean. Like when they get it, like they get it. If they don't get it, you get to ask more questions. You get to better explain the airtight logical case and then connect that to their vision and how that's going to solve their main problem. And then when you do, and they're like, yes, like, oh my God, like you'll see it on their face or feel it in the phone call. Like they will have that smile on their face. Like there's going to be this aha moment. They're like, holy cow. That's what we're looking to create with step one. And then we do that for step two. Do the same thing for step two, exact same thing. And then same thing for step three. And we're getting a yes for step one, a yes for step two, and a yes for step three. And at that point, this little conversation over here with the 3 stars, notice how those are the 3 4 pointed stars as the vision, is we're getting like 3 check marks. We're helping them see how we're essentially stacking the 3 steps. And it's like, do you see how step one and step two and step three, by using this method through these 3 steps, like what's going to become possible for you? What excited you most about what I shared? What do you feel is going to be an absolute game changer for you? And this point is so powerful because they're essentially going to tell you why they're going to buy. And that point right there, they're going to tell you why they're going to buy. And later on, when we get into objection handling, like this is going to be the things that we come back to of why they're going to say yes. Because it's not about your program, it's about what your program can do for you or for them. Okay? So that's the recap. And when they share with you what stood out most for them from the call, and see how this can really help them, you say, awesome, I'm going to share the logistics here in a second, but just to get a feel for where you're at, do you feel like this is something that is for you? Do you feel like this is that, like, does this excite you? do you feel like this is something that you want to be a part of? And you're like, yeah, of course, like let's hear the details. Now we get into the plane and we fly through this stuff, right? So share the logistics, any final questions, share the investment, objection handle. All right. So share the logistics. This is how many calls there's going to be. This is where you get access to this course. This is how often we're going to have the calls. This is how long the calls are going to be. Pretty much all the logistics. You're going to get access to Slack or text or however you do the calls. If you do some sort of like voice chat messenger thing, like you can do that as well. Like share the logistics basically of like what they're going to get in the program. And here's an important point during the logistics. And I know we're going through a lot here, so stick with me because again, this is the most powerful thing that you could probably watch with the logistics is speaking of the pain, speaking of the pleasure. Like by having full access to me, you're never gonna have to wonder like what to do, because at any point you hit a roadblock, you're gonna be able to reach out to me, so that way we can get it resolved right away. I think one of the reasons why you probably haven't got what you want so far is because there hasn't been anyone there to go to when you hit a roadblock. With this, it's going to be completely washed away. You're going to be able to move forward easily and effortlessly because you're going to know exactly what step is every single step of the way. And as you start to execute on that, you're going to build insane momentum. And as you and I both know, compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Momentum is the greatest gift of all. As we start to generate momentum, like your results by the end of the program are just going to absolutely skyrocket. Okay, so that's just a little example, but you're going to share the logistics and share them in a way of how that's going to solve their main problems and challenges that they shared with you earlier. Once you do, now we're going to move into any final questions. Okay, so I also script that one pretty well, and it just goes awesome. So I'm going to share the investment in a second. But before I do, are there any final questions that you have? And there might be some questions. If you've done your job really well, they're going to be like, how much is it? And the second that they say, how much is it? That means they don't have any other questions. You fucking nailed the whole process. And now it's time to get straight into it. They have some questions, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, it's all good. Like, it will be feedback for you of things that you can speak into more on your next call with whoever else your next enrollment call. But answer their question. Like, cool. Any other questions aside? Or does that answer your question? Boom. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? I'm like, nope. Cool. Sweet. So, and then with that, like if they say, how much is it? Like get straight into it. Zero hesitation. Like this is something that you want to master in the mirror and practice is sharing the investment like just like it's the back of your hand. Just like boom, like here's exactly what it is. Like it's nothing. Like, yep, boom, here's the investment. Because most people get tripped up on sharing it. Like some people's voice literally cracks when they share their investment. Not you, not I. We are so clear that this thing can help them. We know at this point that it's the best thing for their interest, that it is just boom, like let's get in there, okay? So what that looks like is, again, another money phrase and a segue into the investment is saying, awesome. So the goal is that by the end of the program, you're going to be able to XXX. The way that we're going to make that happen is using this method, using step 1, step 2, step 3. And it's going to be able to help you blank, right? Whatever they shared in this part over here, the 3 little stars, like it's going to be able to help you blank. It's going to be able to help you do that. And so it's either, an 8K upfront or a 10K payment plan. Which one makes better sense for you? Just like that, right? So when the second they ask how much is it, or that they're ready to hear the investment, get straight into it. The goal is that by the end of the program, you're going to be able to blank, blank, blank. The way that we're going to make that happen is using this method, step 1, step 2, step 3. Like just go over it high level, super quick, nail this point over here of what they just shared, those 3 little stars, and it's going to be able to help you do blank, blank, blank. It's either going to be 8K upfront or a 10K payment plan. Which one works better for you? So you're going to share it and immediately ask which one works better for you. And they're going to decide. Boom, let's do in full. Awesome. If that's the case, you have nailed it and you have yourself a dream client. What's more likely to happen is that they're a dream client and they're human and they're going to give you an objection. And that's the little red squiggly there. I did my best to draw like a how to like overcome an objection, to like put it. Yeah, I did my best there. So just forgive me, okay, if it's a little ugly squiggly. But I think you get the point here of basically we're overcoming the objection. And so what that looks like and what that means is that we're going to overcome any objections that come up. So if it's money, if it's time, if it's, I need to think about it or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, 2 things that we're going to bring to mind is when we set the intention for the call, we ask them for their permission to challenge them. Okay, so that's 1. 2 is that we also ask them to make a decision on the call today. So that's the second thing. Now, before we get into those, what we want to do is just acknowledge the objection that occurred here. Like, whatever they share, if it's time, if it's money, address it in the sense that you acknowledge it. Like, most people just try to combat their objection. They try to like override it. They'd be like, oh, well, it's this, this, and that. Or here's why that doesn't matter. Or shut up, like you're dumb. Like stop talking to me because I don't want your money. And that sounds silly when I say that, but that's literally what your client hears if you just over talk their objection. No, like this whole process has been dialed to the T to get to a place of mutual understanding and of agreement and of powerful integrity and congruence. And so that gets to occur in the objection as well. And so you get to acknowledge what they share. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you want to do this. It's just you're not sure if you have the time right now or if you can really commit to it because you don't want to have too much on your plate. Is that right? Or awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is that you really want to be a part of this. The challenge is that like the money is kind of a real thing and you don't know if you're really going to be able to make it work with everything else you have going on. Is that right? Whatever it is, acknowledge it and reflect back to them. Is that right? And be like, yeah, exactly. Or they're going to add a little bit. And when they do, be like, cool. So most objections that you're going to get are time and value. I'm sorry, time and money. And those are just reflections of them not understanding the value in your program. And it's not about the value in your program. It's not about your program at all. It's not even about you. It's about them and their vision and what they've been experiencing and what's stopping them from getting what they want. And so, what we want to do is once we acknowledge the question, we just want to ask one very powerful question: is it worth it? Right? So, is you being able to like step into your business once and for all, finally leave this job that doesn't excite you, is literally soul sucking, that 3 years from now, if you don't step into your business, you're literally just going to throw your vision in the trash because you're going to have so much doubt that at that point you're probably not even going to start your business. To end that once and for all, so that way you can actually step into creating your own business, living life on your terms, having the freedom to live 5 minutes from the beach if you want, or go traveling around the world. Is that worth it to you? And they're going to say yes. I'm like, cool, I think so too. Right? So that's just one little objection handle. The key thing with objection handling is that it's an art, it's not a science. Okay. And so the simple principles are: seek first to understand, then seek to be understood. So what I'm hearing you say is this: acknowledge it, and then overcome it. Like, support them in being able to make a powerful decision. Some key questions that I found around objection handling is, do you trust me? They're going to say, yeah. Do you trust yourself? Yes. Cool. So are you willing to do something different to get a different result? Are you willing to work past this limiting story so that way you can step into your limitless self? Right? Those are some really good questions that I like to ask. You can come up with your own. You're going to get creative with it. Again, the more that you do, the better that your thing. The key thing with this is that don't let them off the phone. Handle the objection. They've gone through this whole process with you to change their life. Don't let them off the phone. Like, it is a sin in transformation and leadership and enrollment to let them off the phone, because at the end of the day, if they don't shift, like their life and their world is going to be so much different. It's so painful. And I get it, like when you're earlier on in your journey, like it's hard for you to really stand for people because you haven't got insane testimonials yet. Or if you have, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'll never forget when someone came to me with a notebook, and it was at the end of the program, and they said that the page was filled with all these bullet points, and they shared with me how all these bullet points were ways that their life had shifted since the beginning of us working together. Like, I'll never forget that experience because that is why I do what I do. And so I believe that how things begin are how they finish. And so when we stand for someone in this space, by really hearing what they're saying, acknowledging it, and holding them to the standard of their vision, who do they get to be to achieve that vision? Because how they've been showing up isn't it. Would the person that achieved their vision of made this investment, what would they have to say about this? How would they show up right now? What would they do? They would invest. So hold them to that standard. Okay? And that's how you handle objections. So once we do, then we get to lock it in, celebrate the decision, the final question. Okay? So once we do, we lock it in. Be like, awesome. I think your vision's worth it as well. Let's do this. Do you have card, or how do you want to do it? I like to say, do you like card, or how do you want to do it? Because I don't really want any other method. I don't want to bring a PayPal, a Venmo, or whatever, because that just creates problems in the back end for payment. I said, do you have a card, or how do you want to do it? Because then it's like, yo, you have a card? Let's do this. So cool. Do you have a card? Boom. I put in a Stripe right away. Like, I would have my Stripe account up. If you don't have a Stripe, use whatever you do. Write it down in your notebook. Charge it after. However you want to do it. Point is to get their card info right away. Once we lock it in, I'm not getting pumped for them yet, right? I'm not getting pumped until I have their card and I have a down payment or they're paying full, right? But like, I have a clear number to run, a clear payment plan moving forward. and it's locked in and it's clear and the expectations are set around the payment. And that is just there, right? And so once that's down and it's clear around all that stuff, I get lit. I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, I get so excited. That's when I raise my energy again and I get so pumped. And the thing that I love saying, which I believe to be so true, on my calls that I share with them, is I say, I just want to take a second to acknowledge you, because not only are you putting your faith and trust in me right now, but more importantly, you're putting your trust and faith in yourself. And when I think about any time that I took my life to the next level, it was because I was willing to make a decision that was very hard. But the second that I did, the universe created doorways that previously were closed that I wasn't even aware of. But the second I said yes, they immediately appeared. And it's like that saying by Martin Luther King goes, when you take the first step, the second step reveals itself. And so not only have we got the next 30 steps laid out for you and how to be able to get to where you want to go, but you've decided to take this path. And that is an honor to be able to support you through this process. And I'm so fucking excited for you. Like, you're going to absolutely crush it. And I stop and I just let them receive that. And then when they do, they're going to share everything that they do. Like, they're excited, whatever's coming up for them, all the stuff, all the feels. They're like, amazing, awesome. So let's get that next call scheduled, right? Whenever it is, like, schedule that next call right then and there. And or even do it when you're locking it in, like schedule the next call for onboarding, going through agreements, or your strategy session, however you do it. And then the final question, which will literally save you a couple people, a couple few souls that stuff comes up for after the call, is you just ask them the final question. Like, once you celebrate them, is you say, amazing. So one final question for you. Do you see anything getting in the way from jumping on our next call? Do you see anything that would prevent you from jumping on our next call? And they're going to say no. Like, cool, sweet. We'll pump to connect on our next call. And what that does is, between this point and your next call, if any shit comes up of like why they want to cancel or why they can't jump on the phone and blah, 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 like, they're going to remember that. And they'll be like, oh, damn it. Like, I told them that nothing would come up. And they're going to sucker it up and they're going to get on that phone with you. So that way, on your next call, if anything does come up, you can support them through it, rather than them trying to support themselves through it, because we both know how that went for God knows how long, which is why they've been in the shoes that they are, which is why you get to support them through it again, finalize that, lock it in again, and then be able to move forward from there, okay? So that is the effortless enrollment formula. First half, seek first to understand, going through that full flow, right? The first 4 seconds, connection, being able to ask the inquiring question, set the intention, understand their vision, their location, where they're at, the biggest challenge they face, painting the current path they're on and how bad things are going to get, invite them to a choice point. Do they want their vision? Do they want where the current path they're on? And then being able to gauge a level of commitment, get them to a level of 10. And then the second half, then seek to be understood, making sure they're a decision maker, making sure that they can make a decision today. Going through your method, step 1, 5-dimensionalizing the value, getting a full yes. Step 2, same thing. Step 3, same thing. Recapping the value, what stood out most to you, getting full yeses, everything that lights them up. Then fly through the logistics, then be able to ask, all right, any final questions before we get the investment, share the investment powerfully and congruently, and then be able to overcome any objections, lock it in, celebrate, ask the final question. This is the effortless enrollment formula to authentically sign clients by holding them to the standard of their vision. And I am so freaking pumped for you. I know that was a load of material, and I probably could have shared that in the beginning. And it's material that, if you review time and time again, will absolutely change your life and change your clients' lives. Like, I just can't even believe that this is on my heart and in my being. and that I'm able to give this to the world, because at the end of the day, I believe that the more people that master this thing, we're going to be able to create a life of transformation for thousands and potentially millions of people. So I'm so excited for you. Watch this video time and time again. Come back to it any time that you need to get clear or brush up on your enrollment skills. I'm so pumped for you. Let's freaking crush it. Let's change some lives. Let's make some magic happen. And after your next enrollment call, either record it and send it to me, or just share with me how it went. Like, I want to hear the breakthroughs. All right. So pumped for you, and absolutely crush the next enrollment call. And yeah, be able to hold your clients to the center of their vision. All right. Boom.